Imagine you're a football lifer.
I mean, I pretty much am, but
No, I'm talking about a real bona fide football lifer. It is your profession.
like Wade Phillips.
You are a coach, a football lifer.
Love it. I'm in.
Okay? You're a football lifer. Let's just say you start your coaching career as a running backs coach at Austin Peay University in 1978. That's what I'm talking about.
PA,
Football lifer.
according to Brockman, PA.
Okay, then you were a wide receiver coach at your alma mater in Vanderbilt, right? I'm just throwing things out. Right.
Hypothetically speaking.
Then you jump to Middle Tennessee State, and Chattanooga, and Southwestern Louisiana, and Texas El Paso. Texas A&M gives you a ring finally, and then all of a sudden, Sam Weich of all people knocks on your door and says, "I'd like you to be my wide receiver coach at Tampa Bay Buccaneers."
All right.
Okay, and then you go from there to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Bill Cowher for a couple of years.
It's a bird thing.
I'm paying my dues.
Then all of a sudden, you find yourself a longtime home with, say, who's in the Super Bowl now? Andy Reid, in Philadelphia. Okay, and then you spend a decade with him, and then you go after that decade with him to Kansas City.
Okay.
You wind up going with a Reid family tree coach in McDermott. You go with him to Buffalo, and you're the quarterback's coach there, and you get handed. That's Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Right?
Then
John Harbaugh, Philly guy, Reid guy, calls you up and says, "I'd like you to be my wide receiver coach."
There was a little more scratch my way.
I'm talking about football lifer.
That is a
to the point where you finally get a call at age 65 to say you can be a head coach in the National Football League. That football life journey comes to a head. You finally have reached the back end of the checkerboard. You get kinged.
Boom.
I feel a butt coming.
And on that day, you are essentially announced, because what did not exist back in Austin Peay in 1978 now exists now. Twitter, it's all over the place. Yeah. Everybody hears that you are a head coach in the NFL. Finally. Let's just say your name is David Culley.
Okay. Very specific.
Because I just gave you his entire actual resume as being a football lifer.
Yes, what a life, man.
And he is now a head coach at age 65.
Unreal.
I paid my dues.
And somebody a third of his age comes out and says, "I don't want to be here." I don't want to be here anymore.
That's tough.
And actually, we find out when this individual, let's just say his name is, let me pull one out of there, Deshaun Watson.
Okay, that's specific.
Says he doesn't want to be there anymore, and you find out that he's actually said that earlier in the week. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2021 Houston Texans. And let me just say this.
Yikes.
I remember, and I think about this all the time, man. I think about this all the time, certainly around this time of year, because I get nostalgic. I've been fortunate to do this for quite some time with the NFL Network. I've been fortunate to do this, and every single time it's a Super Bowl, I think about NFL Network's first. 2003, we were born. November of 2003. We were 11 weeks old when we went to our first Super Bowl in the calendar year of 2004. And we were in Houston. And it was dynamite. We got to see a sense of what it would be like to be in 90, 100 million cable households, because our network was in every hotel room and every media bus, and it was on every television in the convention center, where we had a setup right outside of Radio Row, and people were stopping by, and we got all the guests. Literally, the first Tuesday night of our Super Bowl coverage, Bill Belichick was a guest. We actually got him to leave his hotel and come down to the convention center and be an in-person guest, because the NFL was pulling all the stops. And the person who was helping pull all the stops too was Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans. And not only did he help pull out all the stops for us and everybody else coming into that town, he got Poppy Bush 41, to show up as a guest to sit down. I sat down with George Bush
Amazing.
Sr. It was truly an honor. And I sat down with McNair and Tagliabue, and it was big. It was big. It was Texas-sized. It was Houston puffing its chest out and saying, we're back in the NFL after the Oilers left for Tennessee. We're back. The Texans had just been a couple of seasons in the books. You know, they came back into being in 2002. If you build it, they will come. That's the Super Bowl. They built a new stadium. They got the Super Bowl. And the whole town was lit. And they knew with the owner and the town and the league, football was back. And this organization was going to win. Now there's going to be a 30 for 30 on how it's all been screwed up. I don't quite, frankly, get it. And I feel for David Culley. Gets his opportunity, and his franchise quarterback, he had to have known when he said yes to the job. How's he going to say no to this job? I mean, I just gave you his long-term resume. He's not going to say no. No, I will not come. I will not take this job, because we hear about some guy who's a former team chaplain who became a character, coach, and now he's got some sort of crazy, whacked-out undue influence on the new owner because Bob McNair has passed away, and now it's a Cal McNair-owned team with Nick Caserio, the new general manager, and Jack Easterby, who's this executive of whom I speak. And David Culley, who I've never met. I've heard his voice a lot, and I've seen his coaching skills on display because he's been part of the combine coaching staffs that are on the field that are coaching those prospects hard, and you hear him talk to these guys like a leader of men, and that's all I know. I've heard nothing but nice, great things about him, and this is a huge opportunity for him. And don't take the fact that the Ravens receiving core was maybe one of the weak parts of this excellent Ravens team and place that on him. He's helping the receivers buy into a program that doesn't have them front and center like pretty much every single other offense in the NFL does have, right? But Deshaun Watson says he wants out. And that's how David Culley is welcome to Houston, Texas. And I don't know what's going on down there, man. We had John McClain on when it first came out that Deshaun Watson tweeted out something cryptic and then deleted it the day that Nick Caserio was hired as the general manager of the Houston Texans, even though he wasn't on the list of the headhunting firm that the team had contracted with to find names, even though he was a Patriot guy. And apparently Deshaun Watson was told that he could have some sort of say in the general manager, and they were kind of done with the whole Patriot way. Patriot South. Texans don't like being called that, even though they got Romeo Crennel from the Patriots tree, even though they got Bill O'Brien from the Patriots tree, even though they got Jack Easterby from the Patriots tree. And all the Patriots tree was just bearing, instead of fruit, a lot of misery. A lot of misery. And now the quarterback wide receiver combination, young Turks in their 20s, in their prime. DeAndre Hopkins sent away for not even a first-round draft choice. And Deshaun Watson saying, 1 year after signing a long-term deal to stay with the organization, I want out. It's the owner. And as long as he's there, I don't want to be anymore. How the hell did we get to this point? Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.